This morning it comes from the book of Isaiah, chapter 9, verses 6 through 7. For to us a child is born, to us a son is given, and the government will be on his shoulders. And he will be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. Of the greatness of his government and peace there will be no end. He will reign on David's throne and over his kingdom, establishing and upholding it with justice and righteousness. From that time on and forever, the zeal of the Lord Almighty will accompany this. This is the word of God for the people of God.
Thanks be to God.
Please be seated.
You can officially start listening to Christmas music, so that's kind of all right. Bottom line this morning, you can have joy because God keeps his promises. Jesus was a promise. There was a promise made and a promise kept. So we talked about promises and making promises to kids a couple weeks ago, right? And what we'll do to get kids to kind of do what we need them to do. As parents, we all do this. We know I don't. I know you do it, sorry. But I started thinking about promises in regards to joy and Christmas time. And it made me remember a Christmas a long time ago when I was little. And there used to be this Saturday morning TV show that I loved to watch. And it was called Patches and Pockets, okay? And I thought they were really cool, and I loved Pockets. He told time with his ruler, which I thought was exceptional. And when he really was struggling with coming up with ideas or whatever, he would take his shoe off and he would set it on his head, right? Which I thought was spectacular. Okay. Pockets also was the one who was a little bit more mischievous out of the two, so I kind of had a kinship with Pockets. Vicki knows what I'm talking about, I'm sure. So, but the cool thing for me at the time was that Patches and Pockets was very similar to Raggedy Ann and Andy. And so, for Christmas, I wanted a Raggedy Ann and Andy. So I asked for Raggedy Ann and Andy, right? Because that's what you do when you're a kid. You know, you make your list, you ask for all the things that you see on TV or in the catalog. And so because I had asked for it, obviously I'm going to get it, right? Because that's how your mind works when you're a kid. You know, you ask mom and dad, you ask Santa Claus, you're getting it. It's going on. You've been good all year as far as mom and dad and Santa Claus know, right? So, Christmas morning, and I'm the youngest of 6. So there was a rule in our house that it didn't matter when you woke up, you had to wait for all 6 of us to be awake. So I am the youngest, so I have older siblings who weren't as excited about Santa Claus, so they would try to sleep in. So then we had to, this whole thing. So we would have to wait and come down as a group. At which case, we would come down the stairs. My dad would have the movie camera, right? But he would have these giant spotlights. You remember the movie camera with the spotlights? So we're coming down Christmas morning, all 6 of us. None of our pajamas was matched. Tops and shirts didn't match. We looked like a bunch of bums. And we were blinded, and I'm surprised none of us ever fell down the steps and killed ourselves with the spotlights, because, you come down, you just wake up. So, we get downstairs, right? We do the whole thing. We go running for the tree. And I see all my stuff that's sitting out from Santa, and there's no Raggedy Ann and Andy. I'm like, what? Something's not right. It's not good, right? Not good. So we start to kind of go through some stuff, and I had older siblings who weren't in the house anymore, and so we couldn't open wrapped stuff until they got there. So then I had to wait again. I mean, the whole lineup of this situation was just not good for a kid. It was the waiting, the anticipation was horrible. But my parents had this plan. They had this plan with my brother and his wife. And so my brother Kevin and his wife Denise, they show up and they have this huge garbage bag-like thing. And my brother Kevin and my brother Bubba were extremely close, and I thought for sure that whatever was in that giant bag was for my brother Bubba, and I didn't care about it because my brother Bubba stinks. So, right? We all have one, So they come in, and then I see that my mom has brought out another kind of large garbage bag type thing. And I'm like, what is my brother getting? What's he getting? But they brought them both to me because my brother and his wife Denise wanted to be there when I got the present. And so I open up these bags, and in these bags was Raggedy Ann and Andy. And they were about 3 feet tall, right? They were huge. I still have them. They're very cool, right? Very cool. That anticipation, right, at the time was not joy-filled, right? Because I thought that I wasn't getting the one thing that I wanted. But man, the joy that came when I opened those bags, it was amazing. And then, as an adult, we have kids and we do those fun kind of things to them and make them think they didn't get what they wanted, and then you surprise them, and that's always fun. But the one gift that I've gotten, it wasn't a Christmas gift, but the one gift that I really got to enjoy happened this year. Now, I'm the mother of sons, and if you're the mother of sons, and they're adults, you already know this, and if they're little, you're going to figure this out, okay? When they grow up and they get a girl, the girl and her parents start calling the shots, right? And you're just the son's mom, and you just kind of go along with how life goes, right? My oldest son, Jordan, his girl, Hannah, super sweet. And they got pregnant early, and they were due in May. And she told me very early on, she said, you're going to get to be with us when the baby's born. And I thought, okay. Now, it wasn't those words. She didn't use those words, I promise. But it felt like she was promising me a gift, okay? But I figured the closer we would get, you know how first-time moms, you know how we are. We're really excited, and the closer we get a little more nervous. We don't know what to expect. And then when the day comes, I figured she'll let me in, and then she's going to kick me out, and her mom will be there, which I was completely ready to do. When she asked me to go, I was ready to wait outside. But she followed through with a promise, a gift that was so spectacular and so amazing. Because I got the honor, the privilege of being in the room and watching my grandson Javier be born. Javier was born with his eyes open. I didn't know babies could do that. It's very I mean, I've had 5. I just assumed they were all born with their eyes closed. But he was wide-eyed. And probably the most beautiful thing I had ever seen. Don't tell my other grandchildren I said that. But it was that joy, that bubbling up kind of joy. Now, we've all had times when we've been promised something and we get it, and it brings us joy. We're happy when something happens or a plan makes it through fruition, right? But it's that bubbling up kind of joy. As adults, do we experience that kind of joy? Do you experience it when it comes to your faith? Do you experience that in your relationship with Jesus? That joy that just won't allow you to stand still. In Isaiah, we heard this morning about the promise of the coming of Jesus Christ. Now, Isaiah was a prophet during the time when the original nation of Israel had been divided. Israel in the north, Judah in the south. The northern kingdom had sinned greatly against God. The southern kingdom was headed in the same direction, perverting justice, oppressing the poor, turning from God to idols, looking for military aid from pagan nations rather than help from God. Isaiah came primarily as a prophet to Judah, but his message was also for the northern kingdom. We've heard this over and over, haven't we, over the last few months? Kings come into power, and then they start thinking that they're greater than all things. And the more they build themselves up, the further they get away from God. And that's what was going on at this time. But God gave Isaiah the gift of seeing the future. At this time, God showed Isaiah what would eventually happen to Jerusalem. God made a promise with his people. And when he makes a promise, he doesn't break it. God's faithfulness gives us hope for the future. God told Isaiah that the people would listen but not learn from his message because their hearts had become calloused and hardened beyond repentance. God's patience with their chronic rebellion was finally exhausted. After rejecting God's plan for them, the people of Judah would blame God for their trials. How often do we do that? We do that to each other, right? I'm struggling with something. I come, I talk to you, you give me advice. I'm like, you don't know what she's talking about, right? I don't take it. I ask for it over and over again, and I continue to ignore it, right? And then when I get myself in real trouble, I look at her and say, why didn't you help me? I don't know. Isn't that what we do? We do it to each other, so of course we do it with God, right? We lean in, but then when things don't go the way we want them to go, in our time frame, right? Why isn't this going faster? Why is this taking so long? God, why can't I hear you? God, why? Sometimes you just need to quiet and be still. That's when God will talk to us. It was a time of great darkness. And in this time, God promised to send a light a light that would shine on everyone living in the shadow of death. This light was a person who would be both wonderful counselor, all-loving, and mighty God, all-powerful. This message of hope was fulfilled in the birth of Christ and the establishment of his eternal kingdom. He came to deliver all people from their slavery to sin. This child who would become their deliverer, the Messiah, Jesus. People walk in darkness. They walk in danger. But when the gospel comes to any place, any soul, light comes. The gospel brings joy with it. This child was born for the benefit of men, for women, for sinners, for believers, from the beginning to the end of the world. The child was born for the benefit of us all, from the beginning to the very end. And justly, he is called Wonderful, for he is both God and man. His love is the wonder of angels and glorified saints. He is the counselor, for he knew the counsels of God from eternity, and he gives counsel to men. He is the wonderful counselor. No one teaches like him. He is God, the mighty one. He is one with the Father. And as the Prince of Peace, he reconciles us to God. He is the giver of peace in the heart and conscience. And Micah prophesied that mighty Jerusalem, with all its wealth and power, would be besieged and destroyed. That its human king could not save it. In contrast, Bethlehem, a tiny town, would be the birthplace of the only king who could save his people. This deliverer, the Messiah, would be born as a baby in Bethlehem, and eventually would reign as the eternal king. He shall be child born, the Word made flesh, for each of us. He is the gift that God promised. Now, what do we do with this information, this prophecy that was given to Isaiah? We have a responsibility. We have a great opportunity to share this great gift that we have been given, to share this light with others. Expectation. Now, my oldest grandson, Jameson, is 7.5. Now, if you ask him how old he is, he will tell you he is 7.5. And that half is a big difference. And he started doing that, actually, like the second he turned 7.5. He's very smart. So he must have counted the months, I don't know, but he figured it out. And so, I don't know, maybe a month or so ago, he was with me here, and he was talking to Miss Connie Stelter, and they were talking about their half birthdays, and they were already making plans for next year when he turns 8, not when he turns 8 in March, but when he turns 8.5, right? So they're making birthday plans for when he turns 8.5. But it's that expectation, right? That he's already getting excited. You know, back in October, he was already getting excited. And in October, he wasn't even thinking about Christmas. I mean, he's already getting excited for March because his birthday's coming and he's finally going to go from 7.5. I mean, I can't stress to you know how important that half is. 7.5 to 8, right? And so he's already excited. He's already talking about it. And now that we're upon Christmas and Christmas is coming, he's already getting excited and worked up for Christmas, right? Are we as adults that enthusiastic about the things that are in our life? Right? Are we that excited about the gift that was given? We didn't have to do anything in return. He simply gave us the greatest gift that we could ever receive. Do you put it away? Do you pack it away with your Christmas stuff at the end of the season and only bring it out when Christmas starts again? Is it just for this month of Advent that we're excited about Christmas? And when we're excited about Christmas, are you excited about Christmas? The presents and the family time, all of those things are great. But you wouldn't have Christmas without Christ. So are you as excited about Christ, about that gift? And think about when you were a kid and you were getting that Raggedy Ann and Andy and you were so excited you could hardly stand still. Or remember a time when your child was getting something and they were so excited that they're bouncing around, right? And they can't wait to tell everybody in the world. Imagine if you were that excited about sharing the gift of Christ with people. That you're so excited, you jump around, and you just can't wait to tell the next person that you see. I have a gift of Jesus Christ, and I would love to share that gift with you. But I challenge you as we move through this Advent season, I challenge you to not only be that excited about the gift of Christ and being able to share it with others, right? But I challenge you that in January, when you're putting all this pretty stuff, which this is beautiful, by the way, beautiful. When we're putting all of this beautiful stuff away, that we don't put Christ back in the closet. We hold on to him. We hold on to that joy. We can have joy because God keeps his promises. He made a promise through Isaiah that was fulfilled in the birth of Jesus Christ. To us, a child is born. To us, a son is given. Amen?